I mean, this is not gonna be like a super thorough like guide or anything like that, but I figured I'll try to explain it. All right, let's try it. Let's try it. So we got all the items here. All right, guys. So this might not be the best way to look at items, but this is just kind of how I look at items, right? So I split items up into 4 categories. I was kind of trying to brainstorm this earlier. So the 4 categories, you're either having it's all about stacking a carry, right? So you're either gonna do a melee base carry, you're gonna do a range carry. Oh, true, doing it stages early, mid, and late. Yeah, that's kind of how we did our previous item guide, honestly. We could probably mention that. Yeah, this is gonna be all over the place, but we'll try. So melee carry, range carry, and then mana base, as in like for mages or divinity or any ability damage, and then tank items, basically, like for tanks. So, how do we do this? So I guess for the first one, so for melee base items. So what I mean by melee base is your carry is gonna be a melee carry. It's more than likely gonna be your assassin games, your Venomancer games, like Kira Goblins, Kira Insectoid, or Assassins. All right, both are pretty melee. I don't think anything. Oh, or Knights, Avenged Knight, Hell Knight 3-star. So this is how you're gonna be stacking your melee base carries. So great early game items that you want to look out for is a wooden club. Wooden club probably important for any carry, right? Wooden club and lucky coin. I think Shadow Edge has always been so strong on any melee carry because it only works on melee users. You just get more like area of effect damage with Shadow Edge. So Shadow Edge probably always has been like my go-to for melee base. Yeah, Ember Blade as well, Shadow Crawler, Abbey Crawler, Venomancer, Avenged Knight, Hell Knight, Shadow Edge. I would highly recommend. And outside, for what else could go for melee? I guess outside of that, it's just a lot of attack speed with melee carries. Same with range, like Oblivion Wand, probably always useful. Oblivion Wand. People, Frantic Mass if it can be silenced. Doom, yeah, Doom as well. Doom is a melee carry, you're right. So Shadow Edge, highly recommend. That's probably like, yeah, that's probably it. And then like towards the super late game, Barbaric Curious is always just so strong. Curious Infuse Mass. And this is just an upgraded Shadow Edge. So this is how you like really stack like a hyper carry melee unit. Like if you get Axe of Fury and either Curious Infuse on your carry, it'll be good. Oh, and Python's always gonna be needed if you're facing mages. And that goes across like anything. Like that's like no matter what kind of carry you're playing, Python 1's just anti-mage. So not the player anti-mage, but it's so important, especially in this meta. You probably are gonna need it every single game if you're playing in like a decently high level lobby. So never build Maelstrom first, save for Python. Yeah, that's kind of an argument. So when you ever see like hammers early, if you hit like a couple 2-stars early and you're comfortable thinking you can win streak, go ahead and make this Maelstrom. But the reason a lot of people don't recommend making Maelstrom is because Python is so important, especially in this Divinity Mage heavy meta. If you commit too many, it's double hammers. So hammers are so good, and committing 2 hammers on Maelstrom just for early game tempo, like I said, if you're gonna streak, go for it, right? It's very strong early game, but Python, you like can't win against mages without it. So definitely be on a lookout for this, regardless of what comp or what carry you're playing. I think that's pretty much it for the melee carry. I mean, there's like other good items. I mean, Mjolnir's always gonna be good. Monkey King's always gonna be good, but that's like, that can go for anything, range or melee. It has its uses. Some people use Maelstrom to get mana. So I've seen Maelstrom on Heaven Bombers if you don't get a Magicka Crystal or something like that. So it has its uses. What else? Steel Plate you're never really making early. Orb Regen, If you have a pull staff already, you can make it. That's if you're going mage. But let's stick with the melee. I think we covered melee for the most part. Not like super in depth, but yeah, for melee, Shadow Edge is king, and then late game, Axe of Fury, Curious, Infuse, and then just damage, basically. Alright, and now for range carries. Most range carries are gonna have passives, I believe. Like either Agris's Ranger, Sniper, Berserker, Sacred Lancer, DK. Some of those didn't have passives, but what I mean is probably for range carries you're gonna want to start with a Frantic Mass. So once again, always wooden club. Whenever you get the more wooden clubs in a game, the more likely you're gonna do well, probably, unless you're playing mages. But for the most cases, probably Frantic Mass, Frantic or Oblivion. Those are probably the first items you're gonna look for if you're thinking like a range carry. And what I mean by range carries is probably like early hunters, Light Blade Knight, Dragon Knight. What else is like a range carry? Sniper's in there. Fallen Witcher is a range carry. So early Frantic doesn't quite work on a Fallen Witcher, but hey, Oblivion works. That's pretty much it. Shining Assassin, kind of a range carry. Berserker, Lancer, that's pretty much it. The main carries when you go range, it's Lancer, Zerk, Witcher, yeah, Light Blade Knight, Sniper, and Agris's Ranger. There's no other range carries outside of that. And DK. How could we forget our lovely DK? I'm not gonna lie, Pole Staff is the real way to temple. Yeah, especially now, but we'll do that in the mage ones. So late game with melee carries, you're probably always gonna want to get Holy Spirit Lance. So for melee carries, you always want to get Shadow Edge, Axe of Fury. For range carries, you always want to play around trying to get this Holy Spirit Lance. Kind of like the items that benefit the either melee or range the most. So I guess like try to get Black Ice Lance at some time during the mid game. So keep a lookout for a Broken Sword and Magic Staff. It's not like too good early to mid, but once you hit round 30 and you can put this on a range carry, DK, Light Blade Knight, whatever it is, it's just so strong. How's the item effects on Light Blade work? Like on the first hit or all of them? I think on the first hit. I don't think like Infuse would get the armor reduction on everything, right? I never hit Heli 2 to carry me. I have done Helicopter 2-star as with Holy Spirit Lance. It was pretty good. I love DK 3-star with Holy Spirit Lance. Yes, it pops off, definitely. So that's probably the main items. Obviously, Infuse is still good on range carries. Monkey King, Mjolnir. But the key one for range, definitely Holy Spirit Lance. Dragon Bone Ballista, sure. If you have the extra ones, why not? Get all the crit. I think that's pretty much it for melee, or for range. I know it's not explaining like too much, especially like how to what to combine early, but it's kind of like what to keep in your mind when you go into like once you hit round 30, honestly. All right, and then for mage based builds, which is either you're playing the 6 human mages or divinity mage or 5 I guess 5 dragons doesn't need mana, but to get into 5 dragons you do. But the main item you need for mage at any point in the game is Pole Staff. If you get to in your first 3 rounds, if you get a Pole Staff, you can almost always force mages, especially right now, which is strange. But yeah, the main item you're looking for with any mage build is just Pole Staff. It's just so strong. You get the damage from the actual Pole Staff, and then it gives you skill damage and just helps you proc faster. So that's definitely it's either Pulse or Blink, Teleport Dagger, if you're playing like skill based mage based builds. So people do TP Dagger on their Heaven Bomber early game, people do TP Dagger on a Whisper Seer early. I've seen TP Dagger Tortilla Elders just to get it to go off. So, and then after you get like those mana items, you want to look for this Voodoo Staff. Voodoo Staff gives you so much damage. It's actually the most ability damage in the whole game. So Yeah, so when playing, so I'm just gonna talk with the Divinity Mage. The Divinity Mage, the main two items you want is Pulse and a Python wand. The main Python wand we mentioned earlier, it's just, you probably need it every single game, regardless of what you're playing. So Pulse, Python is gonna protect your main carry and mages. So definitely the two most important items here, and the rest is extra. But with mages, you kind of do need a tanky front line. So I kind of like armor items a lot in mages. So early cattle hide, even this ice plate mail. Where's this ice plate? Where'd it go? This one, ice plate mail. This is actually really good on a warped sage. I love it, and it goes into the late game ice armor, which does magical damage when you're doing mages. So yeah, top 3 items right there for mage: Pulse, Python, ice armor. Probably don't want anything else. And Scythe. If you can get to Scythe, it just does insane damage. Ice plate on Warped is a must. Good lord, exactly. Ice armor, one of my favorites. Yes, it's so strong. And ice armor, for some of you guys that may not know, a lot of people use armor, not ice armor, not just for the base stats, but since it does like a big burst, it pretty much, whatever unit you put it on, pretty much casts instantly. So a lot of people like to frontline a Siren 2-star with ice armor, and you just get an instant Siren ult at the beginning of the match. Or maybe put the ice armor on a dark spirit and you'll get an instant dark spirit at the beginning. We've seen the interactions where Doom had an ice armor and you get an instant Doom on something super important immediately. So definitely keep in mind, whatever you want to ult at the very beginning of the round, just put an ice armor on it. Doom ice armor refresher rip. Yeah, ice armor Zeus too, I've seen. So it's different text there. Origin wand's good. It's kind of just like extra, not needed, just extra. They celebrate our new year. What do you mean, GTD? All right, and then the last build, I guess, just how to stack tanks. Tanks are just armor, obviously. Most of these tanks these days are just gonna be either Warped Sage, like either you're playing Feathered Mages, or I guess Knights or Warriors. Yeah, definitely Steel Plate Mail. Steel Plate Mail, Ice Plate Mail. You want to grab early. If you're like playing like early Warriors, early Knights, early Feathered, I guess. The only tank in the game is Warped, but no, I mean, if you 9 Warriors can still be okay if you high roll Warriors. So if I high rolled an Abyssal Guard, I would probably still make one of these. Obviously, probably still want Shadow Edge since it is a melee, but these wouldn't be bad second options. The new Panda tank is beefy. There you go. Yeah, stack the Heaven Brew with these guys. And then late game, yeah, easy ice armor Curious. So the tank game is fairly simple. Oh, and actually, I lied. There's one more item. Anti-Maggot Cloak. Underrated. It is so good right now. I used to always combine for Puppet Mass, but putting Anti-Maggot Cloak on, the biggest change that they did to improve Anti-Maggot Cloak is they gave it HP regeneration. So it never used to do HP regen, but now that it has it, you throw that on a tank, and not only is it like kind of having a Python wand, but it's so much HP regen. So for tanks, Steel Plate Mail, Ice Plate Mail, Anti-Maga is probably like what you look for until you get legendaries. I don't think anything else. And you can add more, but you can have multiple Ice Plate Mails. They're not going to stack on the attack speed slow or anything like that, but they'll stack in stats. Warpers is the only tank I can think of that can sustain a 1v10. Probably. In Divinity, definitely. Wow, this is the first time watching live. I've been watching YouTube vids. Hey, welcome in, Zane. Assault Curious is S tier item on Warriors. Yeah, definitely the best item. Even on like on Avenge Knight or so, even with playing Knights, it's insanely good. Alright, so I think I covered most things. Does anyone in chat, like, just any questions, hit me with it. Like anything, why Ice Plate over Halberd? I mean, Halberd's actually a very strong item. I kind of haven't been building it as much because I have been preferring this Ice Armor. But if you have extra of these in clubs, Cloud Halberd is always really good. Big Good Zath, are there any items you never get? Never get. I'll be honest, I haven't been building Dragonbone Shield that much, just because the other armor items are just better. Steel Plate and Ice Plate are just better, so it's kind of, sometimes you don't have the armor for Dragonbone. But if you do make Dragonbone, Heaven's Gift is really good in a tanky comp. So I don't like go out of my way to make a Heaven's Gift, but if you have the extra ones, why not, right? It's really strong in like Warriors or Knights. But I wouldn't go out of my way to prioritize Heaven's Gift or anything like that. Halberd can backfire on you most games, especially against Shamans. Yeah, I mean, Halberd's good against hyper carries, against Assassins, against I mean, it's okay. It's still good, but it's like not something I'm prioritizing first. I'm prioritizing first what I know will for sure win me games, like the Shadow Edge, the Holy Spirits, the Curious Ice. That's what I'm looking for first. And of course, Python probably, if there's Mage. And true that, you probably don't make this because you do want that Python first. What else don't you really grab? Puppet's okay, but me personally, they're good. I mean, whenever you get some of these resistance cloaks, both of these are okay. They're not like insanely good, but I kind of like Anti-Maga better. Pulse and Python can go with any comp. Yeah, pretty much. Honestly, pretty much. A lot of people use Pulse and Python for like just mage base, but technically you can use it for anything. You forgot Tortilla carry. No, I mentioned it. He was in the mage base build. Just Pulse Staff on that bad boy. Pulse Staff, Voodoo, Scythe. That's good enough for Tortilla. I love Infuse. Yeah, Infuse is awesome. Python Refresher can change a lot of outcomes. Yeah, Refresher for mages. I could definitely agree there. I mean, Heaven's Gift is the least item used, right? The others are kind of used much. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Barbaric and Ice Armor just kind of outshine Heaven's Gift. Nothing wrong with Heaven's Gift. It's actually a really good item. It's just you just don't have enough armors to make it. So it just gets outshined. Alright, I mean... what else can we say on items? Good study, Zath teacher. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't like super in-depth, but I know a lot of people had questions, so I can probably like clip some of that and make a little vid, but we'll see. What's the difference between the stats that stack on items and stats that don't stack? How can I tell them apart? So Johto has never really came out with what items stack or not, but for the most part, all the base stats of items will stack. Like if you put tons of armor, they're gonna stack. What doesn't stack is the passives of the items. Like if you see here, Steel Plate Mail grants 3 armors for allies within 2 grids. If you put 2 Steel Plate Mails, you're not gonna get 6 armor granted on allies, right? The passives aren't gonna stack, but the +5 armors are gonna stack. Now, how does armor stack? I'm not the one to answer that. That was Maker did a video on that one. I think they stack. It's not like perfect. You don't get 10 armor if you stack them, but they will stack. It's just the passives. Like what's another example of it? Like 2 Shadow Edges on a unit, you're not gonna get double cleave on it. You will get the attack speed and the evasion stacking, but you won't get 2 cleave effects, you know? Now, to go off of that, if you have an Axe of Fury, if you upgrade the Shadow Edge, now you have a bigger cleave effect, and you have a Shadow Edge. Now I believe they do stack on the passive effect, as long as they're different. So I think if you have a Curious and a Steel Plate Mail, then the passives will stack, but it's just not the same exact items. Those passives won't stack. I'm pretty sure. Thank you guys for watching, and if you want to see more of this type of content, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any more questions on items, make sure you ask me in the comments and I'll get to them. See you guys next time.